ex-mayor Harold
No, I
Washington
never.
on
We was
Monday?
supposed to. I was supposed to do the Harold Washington with Benji, but I had got sat down. I had to
Okay.
watch stuff, so I don't know. Hopefully, we get to do it soon.
Okay. I'll be in tune. But they don't
Yeah,
be letting me know half the time when you go live. Like, I'll come on and be like, whoa, he live? The fuck?
yeah. They got me shadow banned. Like on Facebook, when I log on Facebook, it pop up and say you can't go live. If I
Yeah, I didn't know it was here too. Zion, he just pointed that out on the other video before this one. I'm like, yeah, because I didn't get the notification for this one, but it happens, but whatever. And I don't even give a fuck about none of that either. And I wanted to say that too, like, don't get discouraged, y'all. Like, if the power go out or like this social media shit, like, ones that's meant to be together is gonna be together when the time comes for everything. Don't fall victim to depending upon this shit. It's gonna be okay. We gonna get together. Have faith in that. Staying righteous and just do what you gotta do inside your home. Heal yourself. We gonna get together. Believe that shit, and we gonna get there. It's okay. It should look bad. It's gonna look worse, but keep
yeah,
going.
we got to go through the process, and
Yeah.
that's the part people get frustrated is they don't realize that process is it's an order.
All right. Yes.
You can do things out of order, but it won't run smooth, or you can run things
Mhm.
smooth if you do them in order.
Right.
Right? You can't have chaos and leave it chaos and expect it to be in order when you're done. You got to come from the chaos and you have to establish order, even if you have to bust up the old order.
Hmm.
But order
That's,
had to be established, a new order.
hmm.
Like everybody been talking about the New World Order. We just overthrew the New World Order. The whole colonization was the New World Order. Columbus
Exactly.
sailed to the New World. And the
Right.
New World Order was the military conquest of the New World.
Exactly.
They was using our name to conquer the world and pretending to be us. Intimidating people, bullying
Hmm.
people, until we got tired of it over here. Okay, that's enough of
Hmm.
that shit. You got too big for your britches. Sit your ass down. Big Mama don't need you to do your services any longer. You
Exactly.
send me to go tell you to sit your ass down.
Mm. Right.
Right?
And you see how you said, and I hope y'all understand that when you said the order out of chaos, that
Yeah.
sounds a lot like of our evolution and how we came to be.
We chaos beings, but it was a chaos being. What do you come from chaos, but you have to find order,
Order. Yeah.
right?
The
Because the
greatest
order,
test.
right, that's how you establish intelligence, right? Not artificial intelligence, natural intelligence. God mind.
Yes.
The God mind takes it reads the chaos and simplifies it.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. It's in chaos.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
they just talking about the pieces.
Mm.
Just like your mind was scattered and the sheep was scattered. Somebody got to find the flock, right? And every time you turn one mirror, you line up two. And every time you line up two, you flip two more,
Okay.
right? So the
Right.
more people that you awaken, the more people by default becomes awakened,
Got you.
right? Until you get to what you call the 100 monkey effect.
Mm.
The 100 monkey effect is predicated up on the critical mass of nuclear explosion. Once it gets to a certain amount, there's a survival mechanism for the whole, and people see what's going on, and automatic changes. Just like that.
Mm. And look, I'm all trying to scientifically goofy as hell look all of this up. Like, okay, well, how did they do this shit? How can I fix it? And literally, I know it's naturally, I know it's energy, but thank you. So much gratitude. Like,
You came on and talked to me.
man.
I'm gonna take
Uh,
I'm gonna take another caller now. I guess
okay, y'all go.
it's starting to
Thank
build
you.
up. Because I only
Okay,
got like an hour on these, they're gonna cut me off.
okay.
All right,
Thank
sweet.
you.
Yeah. Now you graduated. Once you graduate, now you go to university for higher education. And in the meantime, you have a period between the two where you enjoy your graduation gifts before you go to university. Right? So you have your graduation party, you hang out with your family for about 6 months or a year, and then you go off to university.
Mm.
Right? It's the same way when you wake up from consciousness levels. You graduate, then you have a graduation ceremony. In some people's life, it come across as a quinceañera, a coming out ceremony for the princess in the Latin community,
Mm-hmm.
or a sweet 16 coming out. So she's passed 2 cycles of life at 14 of 7 years. And then she evaluated for from 12 to 24 months by the elder women to determine when she's functionally fit to be presented into the society as a celebration. When they approve her, she have her ceremony and she is celebrated, right? Because she made it to the through the first 2 cycles of life. Now she's going into the cycle that requires greater accountability and awareness of the self. Only they erase part of the training methods out of the equation so that they don't have the same family building qualities that they had in times past. Right? So we had to restore all that stuff back by putting everything back in its proper position because you shift in the matrix from the microcosm and it's trickling back up to the macrocosm, and then it's going to balance the two out.
Mm. Rod, how long would you say who we call black people, how long have we been down here on Earth?
Ever
I hear,
since ever since Earth been here.
how long would you say that is?
Well, it depends on the terms of years, and it depends on uh, at which period it wasn't always Earth.
What was it?
At one time, it was the great water planet called Tiamat.
Mm-hmm.
Right, a lot of the water from the planet, when the asteroid belt was knocked from it, it took a lot of water from the planet that went out through what we call the South Pole. Right, and the ice shelf is not an ice wall, it's a shelf, and there's a civilization under it that when the calamity came drew the water over the civilization and flash froze them. Right, so those are the people that Adolf Hitler found in during World War II through going into the archives in Tibet. And in Tibet they have certain archives that if he was able to reach certain levels of adept understanding, they obligated by universal law to reveal that secret.
Mm.
So when he was coming through the Thule Society, he was looking for the key to where the ancients were still present on Earth because their energy signature never left.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when we figure that out, it's like we doing the rescue in the video game of the ancient ones. Now, we didn't always look physiologically the same, and we wasn't always brown. We used to be shades of blue and green because we were surviving off monoatomic platinum group metals. which changed the conversion in the carbon. The conversion of the carbon is based on iron now, as opposed to magnesium. So it's an iron copper fusion in the metabolic rate, in the energy conversion. When we used to be more like chlorophyll, our skin color was varying shades of green and blue, according to the monoatomic chemical that was most prominent in the system or most active. So it's like they was putting a supercomputer, which is the DNA, into its optimum function. We used to materialize at will into the physical form, and that's why you can't find us in a lot of the fossil records. We didn't have death. Death is a construct of the 3D by the chaos beings that came in as the rogue element, or what we would call them the problem child in the school. Everywhere they go, they starting some shit with all of the good kids. So none of the good kids can't get a decent education because they getting bullied by the problem kid. The law of nature say adapt. That means that even in this scenario, we don't have to like it, but we have to learn from it in order to overcome it. And that's how we get the imposters out. When we say get the imposters out, we talking about getting out all of the problem children that corrupted the workings of the system. So if we was playing the video game, it's like somebody, like you sitting there playing your video game, having fun, and your big uncles come in and just start attacking your character on the game so that you can't never win. Right? So you always getting shot in Fortnite by friendly fire.
You know, I'm curious, Rod, when we talk about, you know, these entities and aliens, I always hear Hitler's name come up. Even on the History Channel, they be like the history of Hitler and the aliens, or the history of Hitler and such and such. And it seemed like I don't hear about any other historical figures having this much interest or contact with extraterrestrials or aliens or whatever you want to call them outside of Hitler. So I'm like,
Have
what
you ever heard? Have you ever heard of Dwight D. Eisenhower?
the president? Yeah.
You
I
ever
heard
heard
about
of,
galactic council or
right?
something like that, right?
Yeah. You ever heard of Valiant Thor?
No.
Valiant Thor was the Venusian. That means he was from Venus
Mm.
that lived 3.5 years in the White House during the Eisenhower administration as an advisor.
And he was from Venus.
Yeah.
Mm.
And during the Eisenhower administration is where the Galactic Council intervened and created something called the Military Industrial Complex in order to establish something called the Leviathan Force.
Boy, you got to explain this to me, brother.
The American military has a Operation Leviathan Force that is the blueprint for the Galactic Council to reclaim the world from the tyranny of what we now know today to be called the deep state, that was controlled by something called archons. And the queen of the archons would dwell in the basement of the Vatican and give her edicts to the Pope. And so the archons is the rulers in secret, and they are the ones that's pulling the strings behind the scenes. So we have to read all of the symbolism in order to see what they're doing. I kind of got off track to where I was going with
Oh,
that.
no. You going? It's perfect. Go ahead, brother. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now the orders come in reverse down and it involves the monetary system. It involves the political system, and the political system is a game of public checkers played in the presence of the public to distract them from the man behind the curtain. And the man behind the curtain don't want to be seen, because if the people see the man behind the curtain, they'll rebel. Because he'll turn out to be a computer. And it's an artificial intelligence. Which takes us back to the video game aspect. We in the simulator and our avatars taking everything too personal in order to wake up in the matrix. My dumb ass took both the red and the blue pill. So now I'm wide the fuck awake in the matrix trying to tell y'all how this motherfucker works. Right? So the stage show that is politics is a way that they put in the public domain their orders and their rules under the pretense of the people making up the orders and the rules. Right? And they use admiralty law as the mean to apply the appearance of legitimacy by the paperwork. Our people are not asking the simplest question possible about our current circumstances and condition, and we don't know why it don't make sense that they're not asking. Before 1492, we didn't have no prisons over here. The first prison built over here was built in Philadelphia in the 1800s, so they're not even 200 years old.
Wow.
So before the prisons over here, what was we doing to keep us from need anything called the prison?
Right.
Right? Because the people from the land, we know how to respect each other's boundaries and live in harmony all across the land. But the ones that's not from the land cause mischief and bloodshed all over the land, hoping that they can confuse the heirs and claim it as abandoned property off the eminent domain at the close of the age, because we failed to do our part. So the application of higher law becomes required to override the onslaught of the legal fiction called the corporation or the nation. So if you're looking at how the matrix plays out, it's like telescoped in on itself in cycles. By like this conversation interrupt the cycle for so many people, it allowed them to actually see the fabric of the story that's being told. That's grid talk. Because you have to be able to use the stories to strike the proper vibration in order to awaken their own memory, so they don't require your information, they require the self-awakening. Right? This is us coming into that balance that's required to operate within the matrix without being victims as a extra in the video game.
Right. Rod, you ever took DMT or shrooms or any of that? You ever took any of that to tap in?
Yeah. When I found I found a book called Breaking Open the Head, about a shaman's search for enlightenment through hallucinogenics. And in our culture, we did ayahuasca ceremonies, we did toadstool ceremonies. They used the venom of the toad ceremonies, and the other side of the water, the Afar Inca, they used the Igbo gang ceremonies and they got a different psilocybin over there that they use, that Shaka would use with the THC. All of the organic tribes are have been cannabis consuming people, and that's why they banned it, because the ability for us to psychically communicate when we smoke cannabis is increased 1,000-fold. So it goes back to the history of the assassin. The word assassin, if you do the etymology, comes from a Persian word, hashashin. Hashashin is those who are high on the hash, right? And the hash is made out of the marijuana plant by condensing the chemicals in it into a more where you can get a heavier dose of those same chemicals.
Right.
Now you got something called the endocannabinoid system. That's your auric field or your spirit body. We used to use the THC as a means to strengthen the auric field in order to give us more spiritual control if we gifted, right? Because when you are have the spiritual gifts and you haven't learned how to control them, you can inadvertently cause major problems without knowing it to other people.